Hi, it's Christina with the Sisyphean Journal. This is a rather long podcast from Life Dynamics. It's called The Barbarity of the Pro-Abortion Side. You can watch part 1. I'll link below. And they talked about some pretty ghoulish things that some abortion enthusiasts do. Seriously ghoulish. They started out talking like all pro-choice people think this way. All pro-choice people don't. So let's hear where they go, pick up where we left off.
I mean, it's just
He
like,
had a foot collection.
well, just like I said, going back to the serial killers.
Okay, so they had Kermit Gosnell and his collection of baby feet in jars, which was gruesome, and it's the only instance of what appeared to be trophy collection. Usually hoarding fetal remains is just people who are too cheap to pay a disposal company. And why he bothered, he had a garbage disposal. I guess the garbage disposal clogged up. He'd flush them down the toilet. I'm sure he could have gotten rid of them. Who knows with Gosnell.
Serial killers often keep so-called trophies of their victims. That's what he was doing. He was keeping trophies of his victims.
And in 2019, the family of Ulrich Klopfer, because he had passed away, were going through his, I guess, estate and property. And they found 2,246 medically preserved fetal remains.
So when these people aren't selling the aborted baby parts for money, they're collecting them.
The thing is, when the abortions happen, we have no idea how they're disposing of it, because even the abortion industry has said that they have problems and issues with disposal. Going back to line 5, it talks about some of the bizarre and disturbing humor that some people in the abortion industry have. And it was talking about conversations at a National Abortion Federation conference about how to respond to, in a social atmosphere, about questions about their work. And one of the questions that they were talking about is, what do you do with the babies, right, afterwards? Their answers were, we buy a lot of Drano and don't come for breakfast.
Yeah.
That was their clever, cheeky responses to this thing.
For some reason, they get a huge kick out of the eating dead fetuses
Joke.
stick, or
Yeah.
whatever they want to call it.
We have a number of examples of that on People of Choice. Yeah, I don't know if it's just that they're trying to get underneath pro-lifers.
Yeah.
And just a reminder, People of Choice is kind of an abortion-related version of Libs of TikTok, where they take the most outrageous examples of abortion supporters and put them there.
Or what about that they find particularly funny? But yeah,
I mean, they don't.
That's a common thing.
They don't care about life, and it's clear that abortionists don't care about women either. A great example comes from.
I think a lot of them manage to. They start out doing what they're doing because they think it's helping the women. But after a while, a lot of them start to hate the women because they feel like the women are making them do this horrible thing, especially what they call the frequent flyers, the women who come in for one abortion after the other, because the doctor is disturbed by what he or she is doing, and doing it because, oh, I'm helping this woman to get her life on a better track. And she just doesn't learn her lesson. She comes in and wants me to bail her out of this situation by taking this baby apart. They start to hate and resent the women. It's really interesting.
A recent Operation Rescue story, and the 911 calls come from Pro-Life Action League. There was an employee at the abortion business Carafem,
yeah,
in Chicago, Illinois, called 911 on February 9th of this year, 2023, to request emergency transport for a 32-year-old woman who was hemorrhaging. She obviously had complications. Well, later on, a second 911 call was made because the abortionist had called off the first ambulance request.
So they call asking for an ambulance for this woman because she's hemorrhaging.
Right.
But then they cancel it.
The abortionist canceled it.
Did they ever say why the abortionist canceled
Well,
it?
the employee that was talking to 911 dispatch said that the doctor didn't think it was necessary for her to go to the hospital. And the moment she got up, she started hemorrhaging again.
Wow.
Yeah, so it just proves that those in the abortion lobby don't really care about the females.
So the woman was bleeding. The doctor says, oh, it's probably okay.
Yeah.
And so she starts bleeding real bad again. And my guess is probably falling down.
Probably. And so they were like, well,
Yikes.
oops, we better call 911 again. So what they care about is protecting abortion and their bottom line, money.
That reminds me of the Tanya Reeves situation. You know, they left Tanya Reeves bleeding from a uterine perforation for 5 hours.
In the hallway.
Yeah, they wheeled her into a hallway, left her for 5 hours, and by the...
I didn't know they'd left her in the hallway. I thought they had her in the recovery room. And I'll link, let me make a note, link to Tanya Reeves. I'll link to that below.
The time they finally decided to call an ambulance,
It was too
It
late.
was too late.
She died because of it. And the abortion industry, abortionists, are very hesitant to call 911 because they don't want to get out there that, oh, there's
another injury. Yeah.
Another injury, because that goes against their narrative. I mean, we have a section on our website, and it talks about deaths by abortion. And, I mean, there are injuries and deaths all the time.
Yeah. So if you go to the lifedynamics.com website under exposed, it's called Women Betrayed. And it talks about the women who have been killed by legal abortion. It's got Tanya Reeves' story on there. It's got Christy Stiles' story on there. If you have not watched the video about Christy, you should go watch that. It's got Marla Cardamone, what happened to her, and an interview with her mother. So there's lots of great information on that part of the website. Definitely go look at that.
And one of the frustrating things is that politicians, they know that this is going on. There are so-called safety and health standards that aren't enforced, and that's because politicians
Choose not to.
Well, yeah, they themselves love abortion.
Going back to Gosnell, how many times was he reported and people complaining about him and the authorities choosing not to do anything?
And like I said, that's because their priorities are so backwards. A great example comes out of California with Governor Newsom.
In response to the Texas judge who basically put a stop on the FDA's approval of mifepristone.
Yeah, he basically suspended the FDA's approval of that abortion drug. And so Governor Newsom tweeted that California, in response, had stockpiled 2 million doses of another abortion drug. And meanwhile, while they're spending money doing that, the economy in California is tanking. And they have a terrible water shortage and a power problem. And instead of like doing things about
2 million doses of abortion pills. What in the world do they have in mind? 2 million, that's more than there are abortions in the U.S. every year. Let's really quick look up CDC abortion surveillance 2021. Well, here 2020. I'll just bring that up because it's the first one. And usually they have. Do they have the? Oh, they don't have the by state chart. Usually they do. Well, there we go. Okay, abortions per year for California. California doesn't even report to the CDC. So I don't know. Maybe they do need 2 million doses of abortion pills in California. Okay, how many abortions a year in California? Let's see if we can get that number. Okay, this is from the Alan Guttmacher Institute. Okay, so in 2017, a little over 132,000 abortions. So, you know, they want over 2 million doses. And that's like there's fewer than 900,000 abortions in the United States every year. And they want 2 million abortions in California. These people are weird.
That and taking care of the people of California. He's just stocking up on abortion drugs to keep abortion going.
Wow. Well, you're seeing people leaving California in droves and heading to other...
And part of this, Karlin Borisenko points this out a lot, is that the Maoists, you know, we thought we defeated the communists in the Cold War, but they just went underground and they have been bubbling up through the educational system. And they want to destroy the nuclear family because they want your first loyalty to be to the state. And if you have parents and children and siblings, your first loyalty is going to be to them. Those are the people you love. Those are the people that are your number one priority. Whereas, they really have Brave New World and those baby hatcheries. To them, that is the ideal. Their fault with Brave New World would be that there's still two sexes. They want everybody to be theys. That's why they're pushing the trans stuff so hard. And they don't want people having their own babies, because then you get attached to them. And when you get attached to them, that baby becomes more important to you than the state. And your first loyalty is supposed to be to the state. And you could go off on that tangent for a week.
States. I think it's obvious that California is trying to make itself off as an abortion destination.
Oh, they've
But when
admitted
you're not
that they
even
are.
taking care of the basic necessities of water and power, I mean, to me, I think if you're going to be an abortion destination, you got to have water and power first.
Yeah. Well, they have the abortion pills, so
What are they going to take it with? They don't have any water.
who knows? They don't care about that. All they care about
Bottled
is
water.
making sure
Important.
that abortion continues.
So we've referenced a few things in this episode from Line 5, which is the book Mark wrote exposing a whole bunch of
Okay,
stuff
so
about the abortion
they're winding
industry.
down now.
If you have not read
Yeah, read line 5. They're plugging it now. So, okay. If there's something else you want me to respond to, let me know below, and we'll respond to it. And see you on the flip side.